We're now heading into Sunday. There has been a threat that if we don't see those prices going back to 65 naira per litre, that oil production will be shut down. What are your thoughts? Is this a realistic proposition in your view, from your knowledge of the market for the Nigerian oil sector?
It's a terrifying proposition for the market in a lot of ways. Nigeria is a significant producer of crude oil, 2.25, roughly speaking, million barrels a day, which is, at today's money, the prices that are being seen, about $250 million a day that is being loaded out of Nigeria. The strikes that we've seen thus far, although they've had serious ramifications across the country, have left the oil and gas sector unimpacted. If the union is serious, if the union can convert its talk into action and can actually see this oil cut off, this is a global problem. The oil that is coming out of Nigeria is rich and sweet. It is of very good quality, exceptionally good quality for producing consumer goods like gasoline. It will have an immediate global impact on the price at a time when we're already seeing significant disruptions elsewhere. Of course, the large-scale war in Libya is now behind us, but still they face delays to export. And with Iran concerning the world with its talk over closing down the Straits of Hormuz, this could not be a more volatile time to see OPEC's 8th largest producer, or the world's 8th largest producer, I should say, come off the scene as a producer. It couldn't be more important and it couldn't have more of an impact.
But let's look at it practically, from your knowledge of the Nigerian oil sector. Because one analyst I was speaking to earlier said it's highly unlikely that they can really make the impact that they are threatening to make, simply because a lot of these workers are offshore and it will be difficult to enforce.
It is true, there are a significant amount of offshore workers, and there is a significant expat community as well that works in the sector in Nigeria. But if the political will is there, and if the unions can rally enough support, and traditionally unions have managed to be effective, it could have an impact. But even if they fail to shut down 100% of the oil, the incremental barrel that could be stopped, even if it's a tenth of the total amount, will have a significant difference, a huge impact on the price, and a huge impact ultimately, of course, into Nigeria as well. These don't seem to be empty promises. I think they will. The union seems convinced that this is the right action. Whether or not they manage to make that happen, 100%, perhaps not. But even a small impact will be significant.
All right. So the oil price is at over $110 a barrel today. Where do you think it could go if? Depending on, obviously, the impact that, to the extent that they can shut down oil production, but where potentially can we see the oil price heading if they do carry out this threat?
There are a lot of variables here. Already, oil coming off last year was at its highest average price in history. It had never been higher because of the disruptions we saw in Libya, among other things. When you consider Libya and you compare its output to Nigeria, it's a different world. Nigeria has far more oil and far more of the oil that people need. The US is very dependent on Nigerian production, much more so than Libya was. So if you consider that Libya really was one of the key points in making oil the most expensive on average it had ever been for a year, you begin to get a feel for what Nigeria can do. But of course, you can't really put a number on it because there are too many variables. As you rightly say, the extent of the shut-in is going to be significant, but also, of course, the rest of the world is going to have a factor on this as well. Depending on what Iran is doing, which is doubtless adding price dollars to the cost of oil right now, if that continues to heat up, if that continues to be a source of problem, that combined with Nigeria shutting in is a nexus of problems that could see incredibly expensive oil.
Now, we know the plans to increase investments in Nigeria's oil sector have been delayed simply because of this petroleum industry bill that is stuck in Parliament. But just give us a sense of where Nigeria's oil goes. You just mentioned the US. Which countries will be impacted the most if this threat is carried out?
It isn't just the United States. China has been very specifically and very deliberately targeting Nigeria and West Africa in general for investment, because China is concerned, as a huge consumer of oil, as a huge consumer of products, of everything, as the world's growing economy really. China has forged particular alliances in Africa because it believes that the Middle East is too linked to American will, that America is too much a factor in the Middle East, and that it is volatile. So where a lot of the world has looked to the Middle East for oil, China has been looking to Africa. This will doubtless have a big impact on the Chinese and what they're able to do, as well as the Americas. But African oil is of such good quality that those who wish to make petrol or wish to make light-end products like naphtha, plastics, etc., they do cherish, they do covet and want Nigerian oil. So it will have a big impact globally, there's no doubt of that. Now
let's get your take on this discussion about the subsidies. Clearly, that's one of the reasons why the government is pushing for this is to develop Nigeria's downstream oil sector. Talk to us a bit about the state of the Nigeria's downstream oil sector as it is today, and potentially what it can be if they are able to stick to their guns and get these subsidies removed.
Nigeria, of course, is, as we've been talking about so far, a significant exporter of the right kind of crude oil for making expensive products like gasoline, consumer-led products. The contrast to that is that through its history, Nigeria has really been supporting European production by importing the gasoline from Europe. Europe has enormous excesses of gasoline, and as the United States has downturned in its economic outlook from 2008 until the present, and continues to look challenged in the near future, Europe has been entirely dependent on Nigeria to import gasoline. The amount that is sent is huge. It's a massive thing on a daily basis. It seems logical, and so I was in Nigeria earlier last year, and it seemed very key from everyone I spoke to in the oil industry that building a downstream operation there is key. It is a better way of keeping money in Nigeria, refining local crudes and ultimately importing cheaper fuel seems to be the desired and indeed seems to be the sensible approach. But the history of being able to do that successfully in West Africa, in Nigeria, has not been good. The investment hasn't been there from foreign firms. The ability to keep refineries running effectively hasn't really materialized. I think everybody hopes that it can, because certainly be better for Nigeria, but without a strong investment portfolio and without a real drive to make this the goal, it's not an easy thing to do. And refining itself as a business is not profitable in many parts of the world. Now, Europe struggles to make money out of refining. America struggles to make money out of refining. New, expensive, very technical kit is needed, such as is the case in Western India. These are some of the few people who are actually making money from refining. It's not an easy thing to do. The logic is there, but converting that into reality is time-consuming, money-consuming, and it requires a lot of political will.